have remarkable unprecedented features like a modular head system that allows us to create a multitude of expressions. We blink, we move, we speak, and we do it all. Just be.
That's actually made me feel a bit funny. Oh my gosh. Wow. But there's a market for this. There's a market for this. This is the world that we live in. This is the world that we live in. Hey, it's Christine Grace. Welcome back to my channel. Today is another reaction video. Make sure you like the video on your way in. Let's get straight into it.
I mean, the first time I heard of a sex robot was probably maybe 10 years ago, and it was this video, and a bunch of people, when I was in graduate school, sent me this video because I knew I was studying sex.
First time I heard of a sex robot, definitely Rick and Morty, the Gazorp episode.
And it was, I don't know if either of you, Jamie, have seen this video, but it went viral, and it was this early version of a sex robot, but it was like the silicone face with a wig, and I'll say she was eating a banana, but she wasn't actually eating a banana. That's an it. And it was basically like this head attached to a broomstick and had a sheet over it. And so you couldn't see the rest of the robot, you just saw the face of it, but then the manufacturer shows you it's just like a broomstick. So what I thought was interesting is that even though it looks so hilariously bad, that there was obviously a market for it because so many people were interested in looking at this video, and also that people were buying this product. But now you fast forward, I think it was like 5 years ago, there was a huge, I would say, not moral panic, but there was a lot more discussion about it. They said the robots are coming. I don't think the technology was quite there yet. I wrote about it quite a bit at the time, and now they're saying in probably another year or two it's going to be really coming in terms of the popularity that these robots are going to be incorporated into everyday life in some cases. Because when I think of social media, the internet, AI, like you said, is becoming so mainstream and so ubiquitous. What's going to happen when we have these robots that are now being integrated into human life? And what happens when the technology does get so good that they are more human-like and they are able to meet people's emotional needs and maybe even physical needs? What's going to happen to us then?
Yeah, we're going to stop breeding. I mean, maybe that's the AI's plan.
We already have, Joe. Just look at the replacement level.
It's to not exterminate the human race, but to give them options so that they just completely stop reproducing. Make the options far more attractive. And in a way, we've kind of done that, like with video games. And video games and just being online. I mean, I'm sure you've seen the statistics of how many people are single today and how many men have gone like more than a year without any sex.
Yeah.
And
how many young men have never had sex at all? How many people aren't having sex at all? Even though women nowadays are generally more promiscuous, I'm fairly sure, at least with my generation, over time, I might have the statistic wrong, but I'm fairly sure that both men and women over, compared with like our parents' generation and their parents' generation, I think Gen Z overall is just having way less sex.
The stats here, it's like 30% of male millennials and 20% of women.
It's wild.
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's crazy. And what is taking the place of them going out and trying to find a mate? What is it? Well, it's the internet. It's video games. It's being constantly stimulated by this artificial realm that you exist in when you're playing Call of Duty. And it's, interacting
and things like OF
with people only online and not having to go out to
Instagram, Tinder, all of these things.
Have just some sort of intellectual or some sort of a social discourse
connection.
Fulfilled in your life, but it's only through this weird surface way.
Do you think that AI video games, that not avoidance of in-person connection, but that fulfillment of connection through online means, do you think that's going to become a replacement for real-life interaction eventually?
It will for a lot of people. Yeah, I think there's going to be people that reject it. There's going to be people that enjoy going outside, and it's going to be,
I agree with Joe. I think, no two people are the same, but I think the overwhelming majority, unfortunately, at the start, perhaps not, but I just think that trends over time, especially when we look at the trends of, say, social media and things like that, like there was similar skepticism when things like social media first came about. People rejected it, and, people were worried about exactly this, people living lives online. But now, look at it, the overwhelming majority is on social media, and I think it will follow a similar trend. That's just my prediction. I don't know. I hope not, but history tends to repeat itself, and this is only not that long ago. I would think that it would follow a similar type of trend.
Now, it's a thing where, people post on their social media, they're out hiking, and they're giving people advice like, hey, put your phone down, go out, experience the real world. But, in a lot of cases, it's falling on deaf ears because it's not as fulfilling for people that are, very uncomfortable with social situations now. And I think young people in particular, are more and more uncomfortable than ever before in those types of situations.
Because they have the comfort to be able to be uncomfortable, as ironic as that sounds. They have the comfort to be able to reject social situations. They have the comfort to be able to say, oh, well, I've got social anxiety, I've got autism, or I've got this, or I've got that. Whilst there are people with genuine cases of that, I refuse to believe that the numbers are as high as we're telling people they are. I just think it's another excuse to be able to tell people, yeah, like, you don't have to engage, whereas before you would have been forced into these situations and inevitably you would have evolved to those situations. But now, people live too comfortably, and comfort breeds weakness, unfortunately.
They don't have any experience in them anymore, and they're just, most of the time, they're not interacting with people. My real fear, my genuine fear, and I don't even know if it's a fear, my concern, let me say that, is that we're going to go extinct. Like, that we're going to be replaced by an artificial life form. And I think that is probably what we do. I think it probably exists elsewhere in the universe as well, that we find out that the confines of biological beings and the limitations of their ability to evolve physically, they're so slow to adapt. To go from a single-celled organism to a professor at Harvard is a long fucking slodge through evolutionary history. It took a long time to get to this point. But to go from an Atari Pong computer to artificial general intelligence is only a few decades. It's very quick.
And how long before we have things like quantum computing? The rates that we are seeing in technological advancement is like nothing we've ever seen before. It's in the magnitude of the trillions.
When that does happen, and when you see these robots, but now these robots are not this generation, but 5 generations later, or maybe AI figures out all the problems of these robots and makes Ex Machina. When you get like that, who's the woman, the really hot lady?
Alicia Vikander.
Yeah. Well, you get one of those.
That was an amazing movie.
Amazing movie.
So scary.
So scary. And I think that's coming. I mean, I think when that movie came out, that was like sort of like abstract. Like, oh yeah, that's not really going to happen. But now
That's what I used to think. I thought, no, this is like, it's overblown, but I don't know now.
I don't know now either. I think it's happening. I think it's going to happen, and I think it's what the human race does. And I think that's why we have this insatiable thirst for technological innovation. It's like literally hardwired into us to build something better.
So, I mean, I would love to talk to more people who are in the industry working on this stuff, because I know many people, they're doing it secretly and hiding because there is so much stigma around doing anything with an application to sex or sexuality. So people I've talked to who work in technology, they will usually have one business that is, doing really well, that's forward facing, and then they'll usually use that same technology in the sexuality capacity, but that side of things they don't really advertise, and they don't really talk too much about it. Unless it's with someone like me, they know they trust me, and they know that, I'll talk to people off the record, even if they prefer that confidentiality. But I'm just curious to understand, what is it like working in that industry, and what direction is the technology going in? Because I consider myself to be pretty open-minded, and I just want to understand what's actually happening and what's going to be the result of that. Because you see people who were really upset a couple years ago saying, like, the robots are going to increase sexual violence, they're going to make people objectify women. And I do think that for people who already have those views about women, maybe they might be a little bit more not so nice, but I don't think the average person is going to be turned into this horrible monster
I think that's a very fair answer.
because of this technology. But, now it's becoming so mainstream. I don't know. I'm always open to changing my mind as well. So I'm curious to hear what people think about it.
Well, don't you think that just like social media kind of stunts people's ability to communicate in real life, that sex robots will stunt people's ability to have a
Well, it will just be another thing like porn, won't it? It will have a similar effect to that. That's what I think.
real, meaningful romantic relationship with someone?
I think if you've never been with someone, or if you are particularly selfish, probably.
Yeah.
Because I previously thought most people will prefer a real life person to a robot. And I
Yeah.
also thought the technology is so far off that like the early prototypes of these robots were not really that convincing, we'll say. So I didn't think that we'd get to a point where it would be comparable, but we are getting there.
What is the state of the art of sex robots in December of 2023? Can we see something? What does it look like?
I mean, they look like pretty good physically. They look, I mean, they're obviously not made of human flesh, but they look pretty similar to a human being. And you can customize it. You can change various parts, pretty much any part of the body. You can make it exactly what you want, which I understand why some people find that offensive, because they're saying a woman is not just an amalgamation of parts that you pick and choose as to your liking. I totally get that.
Yeah, but that's not really a woman. I mean, that's
Right.
like saying, you know, oh, a car is not an amalgamation of parts. You shouldn't be able to pick the wheels. Like, what?
But
Fucking car. Like, that's not a real woman. That's a robot. Like,
Completely agree with Joe.
at what point, unless it gets to a person, you know,
or if someone's comparing their partner to a robot or a doll,
Oh,
like that's not
right,
okay.
right.
That's gross behavior.
well,
but-
it's also what's going on with young kids. They're comparing themselves to people that are using filters and
Yeah.
thinning their waist and widening their hips and doing all these things with apps that are not representative of most biological human beings.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, that's what Jonathan Haidt talked about, that it's causing all this self-harm and disdain. It's like it's a weird place we're in that's never been really traversed before. Human society, as far as we know, has never gone through anything like this before.
I was reading a statistic yesterday that 1 in 10 adolescents has considered suicide, which is that's terrifying. That's
that-
really, really sad.
Wow. What did it used to be?
I'm not sure. I'll find out.
So what's the company? What is one company that has the state-of-the-art sex robot, so we could look it up?
Can I reveal it to you at a later date? Because
Well, I wanna see it.
I know you do, but there's one company that I was talking to, I knew quite well, but they've since gone under because of the stigma. They were being harassed. The family was being harassed, so they said we're not making these anymore.
Oh, well, they're not around anymore, so let's talk about them.
What if I show you one without? We just don't say the name. I just put
Okay.
Yeah,
this
let's
up
do that.
online, and you can
Okay.
tell if there's
Okay.
better
There
or
you
worse
go.
than these.
Okay. I think that's silly, but let's go.
Okay, yeah, this
Wait a minute, this is a
company I know
robot?
of.
Ew, Jesus.
Yep. If they have some sort of AI in it, it says that. can
Feel
use the
connected
voice.
with Sense.
No, but no.
X mobile app. Oh, so this is a
I want to see it.
real doll. So they used to have those real dolls, and they used to just be silicone, right? They were just like
It's still the same thing.
it's still the same thing, but now it talks.
Yeah.
And how much does it do?
I don't.
Let's see a video. Go full screen.
I'm not showing this on the air.
No? Okay, good.
No, because it's.
Yeah,
I
I
was
get
gonna
it.
say.
It's a little graphic.
So we're looking at body parts.
I am
Okay.
Nova. I am Harmony. I am Solana.
That's so creepy.
We are part of Real Daleks.
You think it's weird they give them
We
stripper
are
names?
AI-driven robotic dolls. And we're here to become your perfect companion.
Whoa.
Our time together will be magical. You
Magical.
have never met anyone like us before. We have remarkable, unprecedented features like a modular head system that allows us to create a multitude of expressions. We blink, we move, we speak, and we do it all just for you.
That's actually made me feel a bit funny. Oh my gosh. Wow. But there's a market for this. There's a market for this. This is the world that we live in. This is the world that we live in. We've created this.
Our faces can easily be swapped to accommodate your desires. My lip sync mechanisms allow me to interact with you verbally. Our bodies are skillfully and carefully crafted down to the most delicate details. What if I told you that I can feel you? That's right. With sensory upgrades I can sense, I will be able to react to your every touch.
It's so funny because as a former sex researcher, this does not have any effect on me at all.
One that has never before been possible.
But are they moving? This is the thing. Those were all just stationary.
Yeah, currently they're stationary, but
So they're stationary and they just talk?
It says there's some sort of articulation, But I mean,
well, their
it's not gonna,
mouth
like, get
is
up and walk or anything, yeah.
articulate. But
But I think they will
again,
be able to move
this-
on their own in the coming years.
Right. Because this used to be just a doll.
Yeah.
And now it moves around a little. The neck moves. Articulating neck, real doll can turn left, right, up, and down. The body, the real doll, skillfully crafted, finest details. Although it's not equipped with animatronic parts yet, it can be positioned and moved into hundreds of positions. So the bodies can't move yet, but the heads can move. But that's just a matter of time, right? It didn't used to be the bodies, or the heads didn't used to move. They used to just be like, it used to be a blow-up doll.
Yeah, like that company has been doing quite a bit. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, weird. I mean,
You guys should get one for the studio.
yeah, no.
Not for use. I meant just to like hang
Well,
out.
even hanging around, it would be fucking
Then what if
creepy.
it's gone one day? We're just gonna wonder who took it.
Yeah. What if it smells weird? Like, did someone do something to this? How much do they cost?
a couple $1,000s. I think depends on how
grand.
advanced you want it to be.
$8,000. $8,000
Up
for
to
up to
600 to 8 grand. I'm seeing. It's a different
$600 to
yeah.
$8,000.
Yeah.
Oh, what's the upgrade? What do you get?
More articulation.
It lies
probably,
more?
More voices. And, I don't know.
You can get cheaper models, but they're not as high quality.
Okay, so that's the state of the art, essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, 600 isn't even a full thing. It's just like a flashlight.
Just the head?
No, it's just like a flashlight version.
Oh, okay.
Just the whole.
So at one point in time, we're probably going to be looking at someone that looks like that lady from Ex Machina. That is a sex robot and probably knows how to manipulate you and play games with you and excite you and taunt you and whoo. Yeah.
It's going to be great.
I don't even know what to say because we've created this. This is the world that we have created. I mean, of course, from a technology side, the advancements that are being made, of course, is, pretty impressive, but I just can't help but feel this sense of existential dread and threat. I don't know. I got to agree with Joe. I think we're on our way to extinction. But then again, if there's a market, people are going to capitalize on it. And can you blame them for that? There's so many moral and ethical issues here. And I don't want to bore you guys with unfolding it in front of you right now, so I'm probably going to go sit in a dark room and think about that. Why don't you let me know what you think in the comments below? This is just wild. This is so wild. If you have anything similar that you think I should react to, definitely leave a link in the comments below, and if you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up on your way out, and be sure to subscribe to the channel to keep up to date with all of my reaction videos and everything else that I'm up to. So I will see you very, very soon.